another video on the TTR-125, but I got a little surprise this time. It's no longer a 125. So on my last video, which I put up a couple years ago, I went over all the upgrades I did at that time, but things have changed just a little bit, or maybe a lot. Be sure to check out my other videos if you're interested in what was done. It's snowing today, so had to get it out. Figure it was a good time to do another video. Do a quick walk around of it. Let's go over some of the upgrades that's been done to this bad boy. And when I say this is one of the most funnest bikes I've ever ridden, I'm not lying to you. Let's start at the front. Let's go over some of these upgrades. Now, I don't know what you guys call this name, the pronunciation, Acer bees, but it's a chair bees, like a chair of bees. You know, a chair you sit on, a chair of bees, a chair bees. Anyways, one of my first upgrades I did since the last video was add this auxiliary fuel tank. I think it's a 0.8 of a gallon. There's a bigger size, which I can't remember the size of the bigger one, but it just looked really big on the front. And I like this idea, but when it, like from the side, the other one probably stuck out. Like it was just really fat. Of course, it held more fuel, but you know, I just wanted more of a slimline look since the normal number plate is pretty slim anyways. So I went with this auxiliary fuel tank from a chair of bees. And I mean, it was a different look. It is not that cool as a number plate, you know, and I did remove the headlight I had put on there. So if you guys have any suggestions of like where and how to add another light back on, I don't do a lot of night riding, so it was kind of useless. I like the idea of the light, but it was kind of useless for what I was using it for. So if you guys have any ideas of where I can remount it, maybe I'll just do like a helmet light or something like that. That way, wherever I'm looking, the light can be shown. I did like the look of that headlight I had. So anyways, this auxiliary fuel tank it siphons into the factory fuel tank. So it's like it uses back pressure and, you know, we get fuel right in there. I think the standard tank on these 125s, if I remember correctly, can go like 100 miles. So, I mean, that's a long, long trail ride. So there isn't a huge need for, and I could be wrong on that 100 miles, but I think that's what I calculated. Excuse any background noise. Sometimes cars pass and I don't know, hopefully it doesn't distort my audio. But anyways, this just gives you, you know, an extra, say 50 miles if you need it. But I haven't ran it dry yet, but it works perfect. And one thing that I love when I've been building this bike is I love to add functional parts, right? So I don't want just looks. I mean, looks are nice. You know, I got my graphics kit and everything on there, but you know, looks are nice, but I really want functional parts, things I can utilize out. And I could utilize the headlight. I just wasn't utilizing the headlight. So it matches my bark busters, you know? So I don't know if I could put like a photo, or I mean, not a photo, some sort of graphic right there on the front, but for now it is what it is. It gives it a different look. I don't see many of these out there, so it gives it a different look. With that being said, the original choke was behind the front number plate. You know, it was right down there, and even without this auxiliary fuel tank on, it was hard to get my hand in there. So I moved the choke down to the front right here. Now this is perfect right there, because when I'm riding, whenever I need to use the choke for any reason, I'm sitting right on the bike. You know, I'm sitting on the bike and it's right here. It's no longer me digging back behind that number plate. Like I said, even with the number plate here, it was still annoying to dig right there. There's no longer that issue of me digging right here. I also moved, this was on the front, but I went over that in my other video. My ignition was on the front. So ignition's down here and my choke is down here. Everything in the front. So the ignition here, get it right there, and it's right in front. So yeah, no more reaching over all of here for the choke, for the ignition. Maybe the ignition was like right in front here. I'm not 100% sure. I can't remember. I have to go back and watch an older video. But while we're right here in the front, in my cockpit area right here, in my last video, I had the Vapor Trail Tech right here. So the issue with that is, you know, anybody who rides bikes knows that wherever you look, your bike will go. It kind of is just physics somehow. So I kept looking down to, you know, see my RPMs and my speed and all that. And I kept looking down and to the right, and it was making me, it was annoying. Like I kept looking to the right and my bike kept going to the right a little bit. I couldn't focus on the trail ahead. So I'm like, everything else in life with vehicles and stuff like that, your gauges is center mounted. So I'm like, I need to find a way to center mount this thing. All right, let's get an overall look. So yeah, looks much better like that. So I just did not like it over there. I needed a way to center mount it. So I cut right in, I don't know if you can see it, into the pad. And I kind of cut my Mica Metals, cut that a bit. Anyways, this is my little temperature reader. I cut right into the pad and kind of nestled it right in there. And it actually looks good. Let's go in the front right here. It actually looks good like that. I mean, it's nestled right in there. You know, it's kind of a little ugly, but who sees that? Who cares? You know? So, boom. There's my Trail Tech. And when I fire this thing up, I'll show you, if you haven't seen my last video, of how that Trail Tech works and how it turns on and everything. But this is probably one of my favorite upgrades. While we're still up here, I did go, and I mentioned this in my last video as well, I went with the Amazon FTRT short clutch and brake levers. So now I have no issue with it coming into contact with my bark busters at all. So nice short levers with an anodized blue. So that's been working perfectly. I got my ignition just hanging here, but it's not going anywhere. It gets in my way zero. You know, it just doesn't fit back here anymore. So I'm fine with it right there. It hangs. It doesn't do anything. Doesn't get in my way. Up front, I think that's all I've done since the previous video. I also talked about last time about going, if I was hesitant of going with the big bore kit. Well, I did. I went with the BBR big bore kit. Ran me about 330 bucks. I bought it from Summit Racing, and obviously you can't really see that I've done the big bore kit, but it makes a difference. Now, I paid my shop about, I don't know, $400 or $500 in labor, and I know that is kind of costly, but it was worth it, because instead of turning a 1 to 2 hour project from me disassembling it myself, and I'm pretty mechanically inclined, so I could have done it, but a lot of times those 1 to 2 hour projects turn into 2 to 4 days sometimes. And I love riding this bike. So I did not want to spend all of that time working on something and making one thing go wrong. For instance, when I put this BBR skid plate on, frame cradle, I removed the exhaust for some reason and I stripped a thread in there. So that was part of the reason it actually cost, I think, $400 or $500 in labor, because I asked them to replace that thread and that bolt right on this side here. So I asked them to replace one of these, because when I put it back on, it cross-threaded, and you know, that kind of messed things up for me. But anyways, they fixed it. Cost me a little extra money, but so about a little over $800 out the door. Got me the BBR 150 kit, the big bore kit. Gives this bike a good amount of torque. The bike already has a good amount of torque as a 125, but it gives it a good amount of torque and you know, some speed increase. But the bike is not for speed for me. This is a trail bike. This thing gets real down and dirty in the trails. I mean, like, there's no joke in the trails. I love this bike. Like I said, I have multiple bikes, you know, I have my KX250F, you know, I got the 2-strokes, the YZs, but those are race bikes. They're not technically trail bikes, so they're not built for the trail. This is a trail bike, but it's me at 6 foot and, you know, approximately 180 pounds, right? The bike handles every bit of me super well. I have zero issues with this bike, but I've also done quite a few upgrades to this bike, from the handlebars, raising the handlebars, to the BBR springs, and here we got the fork springs there, which you can't obviously see because it's inside of it, to that rear shock there. So I've done quite a few upgrades to this bike, but it's amazing. I love it. So let's continue on. So we have the BBR 150 kit. We also have, I went with the FMF PowerCore 4. In my last video, I talked about adding this, you know. I love this PowerCore 4. It's, you know, it sounds great. I couldn't tell you like a huge performance difference, but you know, with going with the 150 kit, BBR 150 kit, I did want to upgrade the exhaust while we were at it. So see if we can get some good visuals of that. So yeah, and it wraps right around. So when installing this, I did that myself. Well, actually, when they took it to the shop and did the 150 kit, they had to take it off and put it back on. But you just take the original heat shield as well, and that stays on from the original exhaust. No issues there. Like I said, sounds great, works great, zero issues. Anyway, so when I also went with the BBR high flow filter, which I'm not removing my seat right now, but it's under there. I tried to do the carburetor here, so this is the issue I ran into. So I went and got a genuine Mikuni. I think I paid like $200, 24mm carburetor, and I spent more time messing with that carburetor than I did riding this bike. And so when I went and got the BBR-150 kit and I, did everything like that, I told them, man, put the carburetor back on, put the factory carburetor back on. I'm having way too many issues with this. I'm on forums, I'm on watching YouTube videos, I'm talking to so many different people. It's just, when you want to find something good about those 24 millimeter Mikunis, whether you go 24, 26, whatever, you can find people praising them. You can find that. But when you go look for what's wrong, you can find negative videos all day on those too. And I start to notice when I wasn't trying to convince myself anymore that I needed that, and I just started looking at it with an open mind, I found way, way more negative reviews on that carburetor. And people were going to say, oh, well, you probably bought a fake one. No, I didn't buy a fake one. I did not buy a fake one. Anyways, the jetting, all that was an issue. You'll find so many people saying, man, get rid of that. Don't use those. You'll find a few people saying, hey, it's great for those Mikunis, but didn't work for me. If it worked for you, great. You got it dialed, anything like that. But from the moment I fire this bike up and, it warms up a bit, I have zero issues with jetting with the original carburetor, zero issues with torque, speed, acceleration, anything like that. No issues at all, man. That Mikuni was a problem. That was a problem. And my bike was just sitting in pieces for so long when I started dealing with that. I didn't want it, I didn't want it to sit in pieces no more. So anyways, we back to the original factory carb. And it works. I'll probably never change. I will not ever change that carb out again. No one can convince me to change that carb out anymore. It's done. It's over with. I love this. It works perfectly. No warm up issues, no accelerations, no nothing. I'm not sure if I went over this in the other video, but I added an extended brake lever. Like I said, these bikes aren't built for the biggest of adults at all. But they can be ridden by them. But this original brake lever the foot lever was just a little too small. So I was like an extended one, just sticks out just a little bit more. So, get a little bit more grip on it with your foot, especially in riding boots. So yeah, let's go over everything I've done to this bike. I might miss some stuff. I've done a lot to this bike. I'm pretty sure they're covered in the other videos. If I do miss a few things, we'll just start from the front. Obviously, you can't see it, but we got BBR fork springs in there, a Cherubies bark busters, and a front auxiliary tank. We have the Amazon FTRT short brake and clutch levers there. We have the Trailtech Vapor digital dash, whatever you want to call that, speedometer, all that good stuff right there. We went to Mika metals. Wow, I think these are like a hybrid bar. Fat bars down here, slimming out. So got the hybrid bar there. So got some bar risers. Can't remember the brand of those bar risers, but got bar risers there. I moved the ignition down. I moved the choke from the front to down here, which it works perfectly, 10 times better than it was from the factory. Another reason I wanted the genuine Mikuni carb was because it moved the choke position down here, which is more accessible than behind the number plate. But once I didn't go with that carb, I still wanted to move this, so putting it in front right there works perfect. We have the tall seat foam, and the moto seat cover to match the graphics. Got the graphics kit from Sanj Graphics. I think that's how you pronounce it. We have the BBR-150 kit. We have the FMF PowerCore 4 right there. We have BBR rear shock to help with weight for a bigger rider than what Yamaha probably intended these bikes to be built for. We have the IMS shift lever here. So one point when I installed this right there, and on one of my videos, I think it was a trail ride video with my son, I had lifted it up just a bit, and every time I would shift up, it got stuck right here, and then honestly I got really stuck, so I couldn't shift, so I was just stuck in one gear. So this position works great where it doesn't get stuck anymore, but I cannot raise this anymore. And I had originally raised it to see if I could get my foot under the shift lever so I can shift up properly, but that didn't work. So now it's in a good position, I can still shift properly. We got wider foot pegs, so that works great. I went with, I can't remember what chain this is, but yeah, I don't know. I don't remember what chain that was, but it works great, and it's gold. Nice, it's nice. The BBR chain guide, and what else we got on here? The BBR high flow, free flow filter. The Trailtech is wired, so that is wired all down. Let me actually go back around. Down here to the spark plug, so that's how it gets its reading for RPMs and all of that. We have probably another Amazon little piece right there for the extended brake. All right, let's fire this up so you can hear this FMF and watch the Trail Tech do what the Trail Tech does. Anyways, I forgot really quick to show you guys how this auxiliary tank connects. So it comes with some brackets right there, and I think it's for a bigger bike because obviously the TTR has these really small forks, really, you know, slim, thin forks. So you can see a lot of space where these clamps are in between the clamps. But yeah, so it comes with a bracket that connects to the back of the tank, and then it just goes right around your forks there. So yeah, you can see from both sides, and it's not going nowhere, right? So it's on there. So let's fire this up. Let's hear that FMF roar a little bit. And for my little dangly ignition here, but I promise you this is going nowhere. So open that choke a little bit. Come on, give me some. Oh, wait a second. I've been trying to fire it up too much. Let's give the old kick. Let's give the old kick. All right, hold on one second. There we go. All right, we fired up. Now, sputtering. All right, so let's check out that Trail Tech real quick. You can see it's idling nice and smooth. Yeah, see, a little bit of revs there. Yeah. All right, so the FMF sounds good to me. You know, it's a 4-stroke. See if we can get a little rev, me holding it back right here. And when it's in those trails, you hear it getting up like that, it's a monster. I'm telling you. TTR-125. This is 2022 if you didn't already. TTR-125, often laughed at in the dirt bike community. But let me tell you, this is nothing to laugh at. I know it's not a KX250. Oh, you know, I know it's not one of Yamaha's, you know, big trail bikes like their WR series. You know, who else? You got your Huskies, your KTM's. You know, all the good stuff, right? And I love a lot of those bikes. But this bad boy right here is not one to be laughed at. Just like I got my little boat over here, which it's under a little cover over there, but I got my little boat, and it's a little pond boat, and it can get to a lot of places that big boats can't, right? So shallow water, I can get up to water like a foot deep, maybe less than a foot deep. Anyways, so in regards to this TTR, it can get into a lot of places when you know, I do a lot of single track riding and stuff like that. It can get into a lot of places that the bigger bikes can't, man. It's real small. Not that small. It's not like, you know, a Pee-wee 80 or something like that, but, you know, or, you know, any of those tiny bikes. But it's small, it's nimble, and it's maneuverable. And with the right upgrades, even from the factory, I see a lot of people ride these great from the factory, a lot of adults. But when you do the upgrades that I've done, it's that much better. It's that much better. That tall seat sits up nice, you know, add some extra height for me. That BBR spring, that rear shock I meant in the back. See if we can get in there and see it. Shift levers, wider foot pegs for a bigger foot, you know, taller handlebars, bar rise and stuff like that. Let's give it a couple more rev. See that? All right, so anyways, I'm about to kill it real quick. Y'all see the beauty? Everything still works. All right, so there she is. Hopefully y'all heard all of what I was saying while the thing was on. But if you got any questions about the bike, make sure you check out my other videos. It's in a playlist, or you can hit me up, hit the comments, ask me what you need to ask me. I'm gonna get back to the trails, hopefully tear up some of this snow a little bit. It's real fun in the snow. But yeah, just don't forget to comment, like, share, subscribe, all those goodies, and let me know what you've done in your TTR and how much you like that, man. Don't let nobody else tell you to not buy TTR-125. The 230s is nice too, but the 230s are bigger bikes. Tell if you want something light and nimble, this 125 is where it's at. All right, holla at your boy. Woo! we turn around here.